What do you think there, Brucey? Huh? Well, back on the old 63 GMC K1000. She looks a little different than from the last video there. She got a new set of wheels and tires, new used, marketplace score, and a fresh set of fenders. And we got like a bang-on paint match on them. To thank the boys at the local parts house for putting in the effort to match that for me. Got a few of the dents pushed out of her. We ain't got them all out, but it's looking a lot better than it did. Got the refuse pile in the back here. I put a straight bumper on it. That one had been bent and somebody tried to fix it. And there's the old fenders laying in the back. And there's a heater core laying over there too that I had replaced. But, brought her in here last night. Had about a foot of snow on it. It was 0 last night. It's 0 again tonight. And this thing started right up. No problem. Gotta love that. But I pulled her in and seen that she was cambering harder than a fat chick in Ugg boots. So, see this kingpin bearings. The lower was bad. So I'll get a new one of them. And this thing didn't want to run without the choke on. I seen the base gasket was blown out, so I peeled the carburetor off. And I've got that on the bench. Starting to rebuild that. I got the old carbonator taken apart, cleaned out. The float bowl was full. It just looked like silt. Pretty nasty stuff. But I got it put back together up to this point here. Just got to put the base plate back on. And this is the gasket that was ripped. You can see why. It was cracked here, here, and the bad one right here. The gasket was blown out in this area. And this thing isn't even close to being flat. Somebody over-tightened it at some point. I do have another one. It's on a truck outside. Like I said, it's 9 o'clock at night and 0 degrees Fahrenheit out. Seems like the perfect time to go pull a carb off. So out into the frozen tundra I go. Well, that one's a 64 C60. That's got a single barrel Rochester on it, so that's not going to work. But look at this minty old girl here. 63 GMC grain truck. Like no rust. This is for a future project. I really hate to cannibalize parts off a run and driving truck. They hauled grain with this thing this year. But I'm going to need my hoist back tomorrow, so I don't feel like dragging that thing with the chain. So we're going to commandeer that baby right there. Whew. That was intense. Well, I guess I'm going to pull that base plate off and put it on this unit here. Probably wondering why I wouldn't just put this carb on and run it. That truck didn't run all that great. That didn't want to run without the choke on either. So, yeah, I'll get this cleaned up and do the old switcheroo. Hopefully, this one's alright. We got 2 carburetors once again. I put the one that was cracked on this back on this other one. At least I can get that old red grain truck. Won't be a dead horse. And prevent the varmints from crawling in the motor with no carb on it. It'll serve its purpose for yard driving. Going back together here, it's got this phenolic carb spacer with a gasket on each side of it. And I can clearly see why that carb flange was broke. This thing was so warped it wasn't even funny. So I've been flat sanding her for a bit here. Just a sheet of glass with some 80 grit on it. And it's getting there, but I mean it was super warped. I got 80 on one side and 180 on the other, so I get her where it's hitting all the way across, and I'll flip her over and hit her with the smooth side. Well, it's the following day. Just got back from parts run to town. Got some new kingpin bearings on hand. Them cute little guys. I'm used to dealing with the Dana 60 stuff. But anyway, I got the races beat in there ready. And this morning, my parts didn't come in till noon here, so while I was waiting, I greased all the drive lines, everything lubed up, and I popped the plugs on the rear diff, transfer case, transmission, and I dumped oil on the front diff because it looked like shit. That front pinion seal had been out for a long time, so I'm sure there was a little water egress and dirt and whatever else. So, yeah, getting pretty in depth in this truck here, replacing too much stuff. But oh well, it'll make somebody an awesome driver. I also drained the engine oil and changed the old canister filter. I had a hell of a time finding an element for this oil filter, but I ended up finding one. The oil was just loaded with gas from that carburetor being messed up. But got the oil changed on her. 7 quarts it took back in. But yeah, I'm gonna get that front axle put back together and move on to the next job on the list here. Well, I think we're done underneath here. Time to set her back down. I'll give you a look at the underside of this thing since it's still up in the air. Check out them cab supports and toe boards. Usually all that stuff is MIA on these trucks. This thing's in beautiful condition. Tell she's definitely a Western truck. I got some Western mud packed in the back of the frame there to chisel that out yet. Well, I started her up and it's still struggling at idle. I idled for a while for me and kind of went downhill from there. I'm going to revisit the points. I just cleaned them up. I never checked them. Looked like somebody just tossed a set in. So, got the tune-up specs here. And I don't have a dwell meter, but we'll gap the points and I'll try to get you in there and show you how to do it. Alright, it only took me 10 minutes to get this camera jammed in here. Someplace where somebody could see something, but I've got my feeler. The specs is 16 thousandths. And she seems tight. It's lifting the point. I've got the engine rotated so I'm right up on the cam here. I just turned the fan blade by hand. And attempt to not bump the camera that's precariously hanging on there. That's the vacuum advance there. That's how that works. There's an arm on the back of here that pulls on this whole assembly. I'll loosen them points up. See, I'm a little bit tight, so I think I'll loosen them up a little bit here. Bear with me. It's a little bit tight yet.
tighten up just a little bit. I think I backed them off too far. I think I'm gonna leave them right there. Not really liking how this contacts are offset here. If I could bend that a little bit. That looks better. I'm gonna tighten them down and check it once more. I'm happy with that. Hopefully that helps her run a little bit better. See, if we had a dwell meter, we'd just go in through this little trap door and adjust some points right there. But we don't have one.
Whoops. Probably is not gonna run all that great without that rotor on there.
Well, I busted out the old timing light. Pretty apparent that I got intermittent spark on number 1. Kind of sparks when it wants to. You hear the motor pick up when the light starts working. The distributor cap didn't look all that great. So I'm going to go out to the grain truck and seal it off there. And the timing is way late to boot. It's supposed to be at, I found some difference. For auto, it's supposed to be like 7 degrees before top dead, and the manual is supposed to be 2. Kind of sounds like everybody puts them at 5 degrees. And we'll see where it's at here. Yeah, I can't go positive on my dial, so I got it at 0 right now. I would say it's probably at least 10 to 15 degrees after top dead expiring. So we'll get us some parts, more parts stolen off the old grain truck outside and try and get this thing dialed in.
Percy! What a beautiful day. Look at these poor old soldiers sitting out here in the snow. Having a freaking heat wave today. It's been like below 0, 20 below last night. It's like 20 degrees above 0 today. It's like t-shirt weather out here. This poor old girl. Have a look at this thing in the daylight here. Look at them doors. No whammo in the front there, or they're usually bashed in. She's a beaut. No rust up top. Can't wait to get going on this one. We'll get these wires and cap and rotor plucked up off of this one here. I got some more parts harvested off of this truck. Just show you how, look what kind of shape that distributor is in compared to the other truck. Might be stealing some more stuff.
That runs about 9,000 times better. Got my light at 5 degrees. I see the frame rate doesn't very much like that, but you get the idea. Alright, I shut her off so I can hear something. Hear myself think. I was backwards on the timing. It was way advanced, like 30 degrees advanced. I got it kind of back into the realm of where it should be running, and it picked that other cylinder back up. It was just too far advanced. So, kind of a death by 1,000 mosquito bites here. All kinds of shit wrong. But that distributor, I could not get that thing to move. It was seized. I backed the hold down out, like took it clean out. Went digging in the old toolbox and found that old relic. Came in handier than hell. But they actually had to take a
I was using that as a drift on the base of the distributor, and I was wailing on it to get it to turn. So that thing, obviously the timing's been jacked up on this thing for a very long time. But yeah, we're heading in the right direction tomorrow. We're finally heading in the right direction with this thing. I was getting a little discouraged on it. It seemed like the more I worked on it, the worse it ran. But we're getting there now. Next on the list here is to figure out what's going on with the speedometer. I unhooked this and I couldn't turn the cable. So I went up underneath the dash and this nut was like cross-threaded on there. And I got that back in where it belongs. And the cable turns now, but all of a sudden I can't get this end on. Just telling me the cable looks new. They probably replaced the cable and the end of the old one is probably broke off down inside there. They never got it out. So I'll pop that out and see if I can drill that baby out of there. Well, I got the speedometer drive out, and rather than drilling it, I just been beating on it, and whatever's in there is starting to come out. Look at that, something poking out of there. Ah, yeah. Come on, baby. There it is. The cable screws right on there now. It's nice to get a little win every once in a while. How's that for a spit shine? Just went bananas with the old steam cleaner. Not bad. Well, she didn't seem to mind her bath too much. Didn't get anything important wet, I guess. Also steamed the bed out. Frickin' wood is in really nice shape. That's all that's left to do on this old girl is sending unit, because the fuel gauge doesn't work. The circuit is good, I tested that already. From the last video, the float was rotted off of it, so change that and we'll fix this exhaust leak. That's what all that racket you hear. It ain't the valves clattering. This exhaust gasket is blown out underneath here. Those two things and we'll be good to go here. Well, here's a strange little tidbit. I pulled the fuel sender out of that red grain truck outside, and it's got a 3/8 line, and the one out of this green pickup, it's got a 5/16 line. No big deal, I'll just put a reducer on there, but it baffles me that they would take the trouble to put a bigger fuel line on that grain truck or on them heavier duty series trucks. Weird. Well, we got us a fuel gauge now. That low oil light's never come on before either. I don't know what the deal with that is. When I was pressure washing, I must have washed some continuity into the sensor, I guess. But the heater controls, I just fixed all this stuff. I had to rip 3 different trucks apart to get enough pieces to fix all them levers. They're always broken, these trucks. But I went for a little drive today, and of course I snapped it off. The things break so easy, they're just pot metal. But I've got one left, so I'll have to revisit that. Well, I ripped the heater controls back apart, fixed that, and you hear that Blower motor sounds a little better now. It's not shaking the dash apart. That's because we got us a brand new blower motor on there. And I went out to the parts hoard out back, and this little bugger was causing all the vibration. Right there. Threw the balance off enough and made it vibrate. That's where the mice chewed a hole through it. So I think we're finally, hopefully, done throwing parts at this thing. About time to go for a cruise, eh? Well, it's the following weekend. And it was sitting outside, and we developed a leak at the transfer case here, so I just beat a new seal in there. We're getting her, getting the bugs worked out of her slowly. Hopefully we'll have them all resolved by the time I'm ready to put this thing for sale. Of course, I gotta enjoy it for a little bit first. Look at all them buzzards out there. Not a bad pickup, fellas. Well, there she is, out in the elements. Well, before we close this one out, I'd figure I'd show you what my tally was on this truck as far as total investment. Got it all figured out on one of my invoices here. I took out what I paid for the truck. Kind of irrelevant. Put a pair of AMD fenders on it. I get pretty good pricing on those. Expect to pay a little more than that. And just going down the line here. As far as used parts that I took out of my collection, like that seat was the original deluxe seat out of a 62, not a tear in it. Pretty nice specimen. I value that at $400. I don't think I'd have a hard time getting that for it. And like the bumper and stuff, the nice straight bumper, that's worth a $100 bill, I think. So yeah. Then down here, this is my hotel, going to get the thing, driving out west to go get it. My hotel and my fuel expenses. So, the bottom here, we're $23.56 into it, not including the purchase price. And that's with no labor as well. It would get out of hand real fast. Probably double this if I build my labor onto this. I do run a shop here, and I do need to make money, so yeah, I figured I'd give you a little rundown on what kind of I put into it, and there she is. Well, there you have it. Not bad for being parked up in a shed for 10, 15, who knows how many years. But I think it's going to make somebody a pretty neat little cruiser. The old driver survivor. I'm going to drive it for a little while yet. Got to enjoy them a little bit before I unload them. But yeah, I'll keep it off the highways because in the wintertime here in Wisconsin, they like to throw the salt down, so we'll keep it away from that. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.